Hi, everyone. Welcome to our One World Energy Encounter with the Zohar. We are today in our volume 22, and it's the Zohar for Shov team. And let's invite in the lineage of the Rav and Karen and Michael, Rav Ashlag, Rav Brandwein, the Yeriya Kodesh, the Ramchal, Rabbi Tarfon, Rav Avram Mazulai, Rav Nachum Mendel of Vitebsk, Rav Kolona Mishapir P.S. Setzon, the Baal Shem Tov, Rav Shim Bar Chai, and all the students, Rav Mordechai of Chernobyl, One Soul with Joseph the Righteous, Yosef at Tzaddik in Shechem. Today's also the new moon of Virgo of Elul. So really we have all the tzaddikim available to assist us. All the righteous souls are always available on the new moon, also on the 15th of the month. They're available to help us and assist us. And from wherever we are, what we want to have a consciousness is of sharing the energy that's available to us through the Zohar, and that is the energy of the flawless universe. And it's a level of binah, it's a level of fulfillment. So let's have in mind all those we know who are in need of healing and think of them, send them energy of healing. Also, let's send energy of elevation to all those souls who we know who are transitioning from this world to the upper realm. Chaim Meir ben Alter Abraham, and everyone else that we know. And also let's channel the energy of Ahavat Chinam, unconditional love, treating everyone with human decency, removal of negativity from our realm, protection from evil eye and evil speech. And if I didn't say it already, the importance of treating everyone with human decency. It's the month of Elul. And so it's like, as they say, it's gut check time. I mean, we're approaching the new year of Rosh Chodesh. We're now less than 30 days away. And, it's the time, that's the official judgment day, when we get a new lease on life for the year to come. And so we want to show up prepared. And this is the month of preparation. And it's also the month of introspection. And it's important to think about, when you look at this month from a Kabbalistic astrological standpoint, what does Virgo mean? Well, Virgo is the Virgin. The thing about Virgos is they look at the world around them and they see all the flaws. Now, we all have this, but Virgos have like a double dose. They look at the world and they see the flaws, and typically Virgos see the flaws of everyone in their own lives. They don't see their own. So for them, karmically, they've come to really see their own flaws. But many times they're stuck in just seeing the flaws of others. So what happens for us in this month is we're going to see the flaws in the people around us. And it's important for us to remember that those are the easy ones to see. It's hard to see the areas in our life where we need to be doing our work. And so this month is energetically designed. The cosmos are set up by the Creator to give us the opportunity to see the things that we need to work on this month. So we arrive on Judgment Day, Rosh Hashanah, the new year, with a full awareness of what we've had to be working on and where we want to be for the year to come. And they're all kind of tools to assist us with that. Of course, none better. Well, I mean, they're all great, but the Zohar, of course, is a very important tool to assist us. So as we go through these words in the Aramaic, things are gonna pop into our head. Maybe now, maybe not, maybe an hour from now, maybe a day or so from now. But we want to be conscious to the things that come up for us. Because another really important teaching, which our teachers explain, is we think that the things that come up in our head are us. They're not. We're the observer. We're the ones who are tuning into what comes up in our head. What do you mean? Isn't that the same thing? No, it's not the same thing. You're the listener to that voice in your head. So the question becomes, is that voice in your head, is it genuine or not? Is it authentic or not? Well, if it's a message from the Creator, if it's coming through your soul, it's the real thing. If it's coming from ego, body consciousness, the other side, then it's not. Well, how do I know the difference? How do I know the difference between the authentic messages coming from the universe and those coming from the Satan, body consciousness, the other side? How do I know? it's not so easy to know. So one of the things we want to think about, especially this month, but at all times, is making a distinction between messages coming from my guides, from the universe, and those that are coming from body consciousness, from the other side. To the degree it's desired to receive for the self, to the degree I'm more worried about myself, it's ego. To the degree that it's something that benefits the people around me and the world around me, even though I'm going to benefit from it also, it's my soul's work. It's the things I'm supposed to be focused on. And so one of the things we want to ask for in the context of all the things that we do, but let's ask for it today as we're looking at the Zohar, ask for assistance in opening your heart to hear the messages that are coming from your guides, to hear the messages the universe is sending you. If we dismiss them, why would they take us seriously? Why would they waste their time sending us messages if we're not paying attention? Oh, they'll send us more messages very loudly and inconveniently. So we really want to hear them when they first arrive. Maria, I see your hand is up.
Yes, I just want to add that on the Tikkunen Zohar, on page 273, we have at least 15 days of each day of Elul, if anybody wants to read about it.
I'm glad you pointed that out. I almost thought about studying Tikkunen today,
that's the first book. The first book, and start on page 273.
That's awesome. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. That's great.
Here for all of us.
Okay, awesome. All right, with that, Maria, do you want to volunteer to read English for us today?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are in Shov Team, volume 22, page 173, verse 1.
Okay.
It's called He Puts One Up and Sets Up Another.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like volleyball, but that's not what it is. Raya Mahamana, Shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha b'chol she'arecha, asher Hashem Elokecha noten lecha v'gomer. Be'fikud da mane shoftim v'shotrim, be'od kilukim shofet ki, mem mine yud d'chushbane kaf, batar hacha elokim shofet, ze yashpil keke v'ze yarim da bav.
Raya Hayamana, the faithful shepherd. Judges.
That's Moses. So this is a message from Moses. Now, this is the discussion between Moses and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, presumably. So, wouldn't it be nice if we could get a message from Moses, the greatest prophet of all time? Well, we are getting one right here. Go ahead.
Judges and officers shall you make you in all your gates, which Hashem your Elohim gives you throughout your tribes. Devarim.
Okay, right, Devarim. So that's a verse from the portion of Devarim, in Devarim. And so it's like, basically, let's set up a judicial system with judges and officers. It makes sense, right? What's that have to do with us? What is the relevancy in our lives right now? That's the question. And let me just say, if you're not asking that question in this context, you're completely missing the boat. Because this is not a study of the history of judicial systems throughout the ages. That's not what this is. It's actually never that. So let's read on and get more confused. Go ahead.
In this precept, he commanded regarding judges and officers. Moreover, but Hey Kaf Yud, Elohim is the judge.
So this moreover, it's like key. Moreover, Elohim is the judge. Keep going. That's a verse from Psalms to help us to understand this in a better way. Go ahead.
The numerical value of ki is 40. If you take into account that Yud, it is full spelling equals 20, and Kaf is 20, for a total of 40.
So there's two ways. Let's finish this, and I'll talk about the numerical value and we'll unpack some other ideas. Go ahead. Keep going.
After that, Elohim is the judge. He puts one up, K of U, K Vav K, does, and sets up another. That is Vav of U, K Vav K.
Okay, so what do we got going on here? We have a very, very kind of discussion about judges and officers and setting them up in all your tribes. And so to a certain degree, that historically, that was a conversation that took place between Moses and the Creator. That was a message from the Creator to Moses. Hey, you know, have all these tribes, you better set up some kind of system there. Okay, what does that do with us? And then we go deeper. We go to the numerical value of the letters. Now, just so we understand, what is the significance of the numerical value of the letters? There are 22 letters in the Aramaic alphabet. What is the significance of the numerical value? The significance is it helps us to understand the internal energy behind the letters. They're not just letters. They are channels of energy from the upper realm. Each letter channels a unique energy from the upper realm. The combination of letters that forms words creates another unique energy based on the value of the letters in that word. And then a verse has its own unique energy, a whole combination of words that all have the unique energy. I liken it, I'm sorry, this is the best analogy I can come up with, to a cocktail. You had a bunch of different drinks together to form a cocktail, which has a specific taste. And letters combine to really provide a specific taste.
Could we use a recipe, David?
It varies.
All in this.
Sometimes I like a twist and sometimes I don't. So, like I find that to be a very helpful metaphor because the ingredients really determines what you end up with. And the letters that combine to form a word determine what kind of energy you come up with. One of the most powerful letter combinations is the Yud K Vav K, the Tetragrammaton, a word we never pronounce, a word we don't even know the pronunciation for. When we see Yud K Vav K, we pronounce it as Adonai. That's Aleph Daled Nun Yud. That's a different word, except they're both channels to energy of the Creator, specifically the Creator. We refer to them as names of the Creator. So that's a very elevated energy, a very powerful energy.
So David?
Yes.
So question, so you said it and here it talks about it. So there are times, and then there are two questions here, right? There are times where they take the word literally and say the numerology is X. Then they start to take the individual letters and they expand it and say the numerology is X. Sometimes they combine it, sometimes they don't. So what is, when they're doing the different permutations of that, is that literally, that's true on every word every time? And then the second, you understand what I'm asking? And then the second.
Well, it's like you pick up a book and there's different chapters in different parts of the story. So you pick up that word, and depending on how you look at it, from what angle and what numerical value, it's gonna channel different kind of energy consciousness. So like it's sometimes like the letter Yud is the 10th letter in the alphabet. It's 10. But you can also spell out the sound Yud. In English, that would be Y-U-D. In Hebrew, Aramaic, in Hebrew, it would be Yud Dalet. Yud Vav or Yud Vav Dalet. I mean, there's multiple ways to spell it. In this case, it's being spelled Yud Vav Dalet. That's how you get to 20. But it could also be Yud Dalet, Yud 10, Dalet 4. Also the same letters as Yad, as hand. I mean, so like it's multi-dimensional.
But why, right? You're
of
saying
course it's multi-dimensional. We're so stuck in physicality. We see everything linearly. We see 1%. So when you start unpacking things, oh my God, there's so much there. Yes, I can barely handle it. That's right.
So then the other thing they do, so then the other thing they do, right, is then they start, which then you obviously need a lot more knowledge, is they take every word, every letter, I'm sorry, every word that has the same numerology, and they are linked as well, even though one might
be positive. So okay, of course they are. If it's the same, if the same numerical value, then they're connected. So that's another way of us understanding it in a deeper way. The reality is We don't understand anything. We think we do, based on 1% of looking around and looking at life. I mean, somebody wrongs you. Notice the choice of words. Somebody wrongs you, and it's like, what a jerk. Well, really? That's a message from the universe at some level. As upsetting as it is, the universe is trying to tell you something. We can get triggered, or as per Kabbalah 1, we can restrict our reactivity and give ourselves time to figure out the numerical value, the deeper significance, the deeper story. I can't believe I got triggered that way. Really? You want to be triggered that way. The universe is trying to point out to you, you got triggers. It's one thing to feel the energy of what's going on. Happy, sad, painful, disgusting. It's one thing to feel the energy. It's another thing when you lash out at the universe over that. Everyone can do that. That lashing out requires no big deal. Restriction, big deal. That's not so easy. Just think of Thanksgiving when you're back with all the family, everyone's getting triggered. And alcohol, and there's even more triggering. I mean, but you don't want to be doing that. If you haven't seen the show The Bear, season 2, episode Forks, it's a great little holiday gathering of a family, over the top. Anyhow, everyone's getting triggered. It's like, but that's what happens. It's so real. It's natural to be triggered. It's natural to get upset. We're supposed to be overcoming that nature. That's why your soul is here, to overcome that nature. So when the universe sends you something, it's sending it to you for a reason. What's the reason? I don't know. That's what we have to figure out. Why is this in my movie? I can't believe that I have to now write that person off. Well, your universe is trying to tell you to set up boundaries with people. Notice how I took the whole conversation about numerology. It's not about the numerology. I know people go crazy over the numerology. It's not about the numerology. It's what the numerology is about. That's what's important. What is the numerology telling me? As
So
Peter points out, when it's similar, when I see two words with similar numerology, it's telling me they're related. Exactly.
So
Peter?
it is only really the Kabbalist traditions, right, that do this numerology, right, are into gematria. It's called gematria, right?
Well,
No, that's a
I
question.
know people who would not consider themselves Kabbalists who look at numerology, but they look at it in very kind of funny ways sometimes.
Okay, so let me rephrase. I'm asking a question here. So the Kabbalists are doing it, or those of us that are studying Kabbalah on that path, right?
We're doing it
because of the greater understanding of the impact of the energy. That's what you're saying.
Yes. But by the way, it's not, the numerology is just one tool to assist us in perceiving the energy that we are coming in contact with and the significance of that. It's just one thing. And it is just one thing. It's special, but not, is it any more special than someone coming over and insulting me?
I just want to say that I've had 2 woodpeckers outside this door on a tree sitting next to me for this whole conversation.
I'm just saying, as far as I know, I didn't send them, but someone did.
It's unbelievable that they're sitting here. They're listening.
Yeah. So we have to take a step back to see the significance of the things that are going on in our life and ask ourselves, why is this in my movie? So now let's take a step back. What do we need to know about judges and officers? So I have a little note. Usually when I make notes in my Zohar, it's in pencil, and there aren't a lot. I mean, it's a 23-volume set, and I rarely see anything in pencil, but I did see it today, and here's what it says. And I wrote it. I don't remember when. And I don't know which version of myself wrote it, meaning I don't know how many years it's been in there. So it says, what are gates? Judges and officers shall you make in all your gates. Your gates are your senses, your five senses. Those are your gates. Gates to what, David? I mean, gates. It's your consciousness. You are trying to figure out what's going on around you all the time through your five senses. So so if the gates are my judges, who are the judges and officers that I need to be setting up at my gates? Well, the judge is your soul. And so what we want to do is, when we are impacted with energy through our senses, the judge, what is a judge? A judge is an impartial participant. A judge is an impartial observer. What do we mean by that? Yes, Peter.
I'm sorry, I keep doing this. So wait, so as long as you're saying judges, right? And we've been reading about, if we're reading other stuff, they're these positive judges and negative judges, and we are hoping that, right, come Rosh Hashanah, that it's not the negative ones that are passing judgment. So can you share some insights on the distinctions and what we do to make, to sweeten the judgment?
Well, I want to take it in a different direction. Let me see if I can get there. The name of the portion is Shoftim, is judges. So like you might think that this is all about jurisprudence. It's all about, setting up courts. This is about us. This is about how we're going to view events in our life, how we're going to view what's going on, how we're going to see and perceive through our five senses, literally life. And we don't want to be too partial. Of course we take it personally. It's about not taking it personally. It's never personal. That's from the Four Agreements. That's one of them. It's never personal. It's not personal. The guy literally stood up and screamed at me. You. He screamed at me. What do you mean it's not personal? Sorry, it's not. It's about them. It's about their reactivity. It's about their triggers. You choose whether or not you're going to react. And that's a different movie. That character's in your movie for a reason. But that character's also in their movie for a reason. That's their trigger when they show up poorly. That's why I often repeat what I learned, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. When you see someone acting badly, don't ask what's wrong with them. Ask yourself, what happened to them? What happened to them that they're showing up that way, that they're reacting that way? What environment were they in where they picked that up? Or, either in this lifetime or a prior lifetime or through cross-generational trauma. What happened to them that they show up that way? It's like, this is us showing up with compassion. And so part of what we're getting from here is the ability to take a step back and view the world with through compassionate eyes. I'm reading the book right now. I'm drawing a blank on the title, it'll come to me. But the whole thing is like, everybody is deserving of compassion. Really, no matter what they did. I'm not saying you should put yourself or your loved ones in harm's way, but everyone's deserving of compassion. I mean, yes, we need to have boundaries. But we get so drawn into things, it's very difficult for us just sticking with our nature. Our nature is self-defense, is taking care of ourselves. Everybody does that. But who is it has the capacity to overcome my own nature and think of being proactive in a way that's beneficial to all of society, to the whole world? That's what we're here for. Peace on earth, end of pain and suffering. That's why we're here globally. And how do we do that? By working on ourselves individually, by looking at what my issues are, not where your issues are. That's your problem. I have to work on my issues. But through working on my issues, all boats rise with the rising tide. So each of us is here to do our own individual work. And yes, there's probably communal work for us to do as well. Peter, what was it you were saying?
You said the question you asked when you saw somebody being really reactive was what put them in that place. And I said, what I think we're supposed to additionally be asking, why am I seeing this?
Yes. So that's my movie, is why is that showing up in my movie?
But the point is that the point is that you're seeing it only for yourself. And as you're pointing out, nothing is bad, right? It's all coming at you. And the point is, too often, and I'm guilty of it a ton, right, is that I immediately get reactive instead of really stepping back and say, God put that there, and why am I seeing it? What's my takeaway? What do I get to learn?
Right. You heard the line like it's all good. Well, how is that good? Well, it's an opportunity for me to work on my compassion. And it's an opportunity for me to ask myself, why is that in my movie? Why is that showing up in my movie? And ultimately, it's about growth. At a certain level, it's about growth. At a more important, fundamental level, from a Kabbalistic perspective, it's about removing my blockages so I can manifest my soul. So what's my soul? The best version of me. I'm constantly trying to manifest a better and better version of myself. How do I do that? By removing my blockages, by getting over my ego, by getting over my reactivity, by using my senses, not in a natural way, in a supernatural way. I can't see a deeper reality if I'm looking at things from a very partial, selfish perspective. It's natural. It's just not going to help anyone. So the power of this section is helping us to look at the world around us through our senses in an impartial way. Let's not make those judgments. But we make them. And I think I pointed out, I don't know if I shared it in this class, but this like realization that I had not too long ago, that among the various ways I look at the world, sometimes I'm in a very judgy place. Now, I could take that opportunity to beat myself up. David, the little voice goes off my head and says, David, you're so judgmental. I know, isn't that terrible? Who do you think said that? Who's saying, David, you are so judgmental? Is that my soul? No, that's my ego beating me up. Everybody's judgmental. You're kidding me. There isn't anyone walking the face of the earth that isn't judgmental. That comes at standard issue in this. This is the 1960s version, but we all got a version. It's standard issue, doesn't matter. It's actually no longer 1960s issue version because I keep upgrading it. Every time I open the Zohar, every time I do my work, it's an upgraded model. But it's natural to be judgmental. What I want to do is find the times when I rise above those judgments. That's what this is about. That's the opportunity we have this month, to this week, today, right now, in reading the Zohar. I need to rise above those judgments. That's the power of this section. Rise above your judgments. Catch yourself. Do not beat yourself up. That's being judgmental of self. Self-compassion, that's the book that I pick up and put down all the time. I have it in hard copy and I have it on my iPad. I'm still not reading the whole thing. It's not the point. The point is when you get exposed to those things, and it helps you to look at things in a different way and understand when you look at them in a different way, you are literally elevating your consciousness. When you are looking at, I make judgments. When I take a step back and I say, I make judgments, I'm elevating my consciousness. I'm not in the judgments. I'm above the judgments. I'm elevating my consciousness. And let's not sit here and lie to ourselves and delude ourselves and say we don't judge. If you don't see the judgments you're making, because you're not seeing the judgments you're making. We're making them all the time. You know what? And it's okay. It's natural. But we want to rise above that and notice more of the judgments we make. Because when we rise above the judgments we're making, we are becoming more impartial. That is the power of this section. And that's the power of this week. And that's where we want to be in the month of Elul, the month of Virgo. Because rest assured, if you're judgmental the rest of the year, you're going to be doubly judgmental this month. And the more we rise above the judgments that we make, the more impartial we become, and the better prepared we are to show up for Rosh Hashanah, for the new year. Like, where am I making judgments? Where in every space I step into. There's another judgment. I mean, that's where we want to be. There's another, look at, I made another judgment.
Can I add something?
Please.
Okay, when I started reading I'm listening to everything you're sharing here, but when I first read the first sentence, I associated that first sentence when it says, make you in all your gates. I related that based on what Kabbalah teaches us. I think it's just part of it too. I think I heard it recently. The gates also refer to our 5 levels of the world. Are we in? Nefesh, Ruach, and all those. So when I saw that word gate, that's what I associated with right away. And then you continue talking about where we are in this process and the judgment and the work that we have to do this month and before Rosh Hashanah, right?
Yes.
So I'm just comparing what you just been explaining versus what my mind first captured of the gates associated with the 5 levels of the world that we have to. And I just look at this, I thought about it right away and I said, judges and officers are, they're talking, I have to look at where am I in those different levels of the worlds that Kabbalah is teaching us.
That's the level of the souls. She was using the word for souls. Gates is the Asiya, Bria, etc. So, but they're connected.
It's all connected. So, like, also I want to point out that the word for gates is in here it's sha'arecha, your gates. The Hebrew is sha'ar, gate. And most of we have the writings of the Ari, Rav Isaac Luria, the greatest Kabbalist of the last 500 years. We have his writings. It's the white volumes, not to be confused with Tikkun Zohar. But anyhow, those books, each one of them, not all of them, but most of them are called Sha'ar, like Sha'ar HaGilgolim, gates of reincarnation. What's the gate there? I mean, the word shows up in Psalms all the time, Sha'ar, Sha'arim. I mean, there's a song that's going through my head now. There's a verse with gates in it from Psalms. So look at a gate as like just stepping through into another level. And that's what happens when our soul, when our consciousness is elevating. And each of those books is like a gateway to a whole different energy consciousness. These are the books of the Ari. Is a gateway to different energy consciousness. And it's mind-blowing stuff. Because we don't want to blow our mind. We want to keep it nice and balanced. But it's all about us elevating consciousness and elevating soul. When we elevate our soul, we are connecting to deeper levels of soul. When we elevate our consciousness, I meant to say, when we're elevating consciousness, we're connecting to deeper levels of soul. One of my teachers, Meir Shuren, explained to me, many years ago, It's this concept of observer, which we go back to, and it really is so relevant here. It's like, and in the book by Michael Singer, The Unbridled Soul, he talks about this also, but from the Kabbalistic perspective, it's like, I am viewing the world and I'm seeing everything and I'm trying to make the best decisions as I can going along the way. Some of them are very selfish. I still think they're the best, but it's because I'm using body consciousness. It's the best for me. But that's easy. That's nature. But when I take a step back and I observe what's going on, I observe my decisions and my thought processes. I am now the observer of self. That's where we want to be, or begin to be. I want to be an observer of self so I can approach a more impartial judge at my gates. The mayor said, look, so that's first level observer. But there's also, you could be the observer of self. What is the observer saying? Why do I look at it that way? Okay, I'm looking at my life, but then it takes back and says, why am I even looking at it that way? It's an even more elevated consciousness. And ultimately, I can say, well, why am I looking at it that way? I could be the observer of events. The observer of events. Ad infinitum. You can keep taking steps back to look at things from a different perspective. It's unlimited. So this isn't just like a one and done here game. This is what we continue to do all the time. Why am I feeling this now? I'm not asking that right now. I mean, I could. I'm saying that this is a rhetorical question. It's something to ask ourselves. What am I feeling now? My senses are tuning into something. What is it? What am I feeling? Feeling a little bit of anxiety. Why am I feeling that anxiety? Why is this in my movie? Why am I feeling anxious? Well, I'm feeling threatened. Why am I feeling threatened? Well, the guy is like, very intimidating personality. What's that have to do with me? It's like, why? And we keep asking the questions and going deeper and deeper into our reality to assist us in identifying the areas in our life that really are complicating life for us. Those things are, you make judgments, you're inviting chaos, untold chaos.
It almost feels to me like a dichotomy, because as we're asking more questions and trying to pinpoint it, as the observer of the observer of the observer, we're also getting the big picture. So it's kind of like,
yes, we are.
And big picture.
Yes, which is why, curiously, Rav Shlag, who founded the Kabbalah Center in 1922, approximately, in Israel, the teacher of Rav Brandwein, who was the teacher of the Rav, he named his commentary on the Zohar Sulam. He's known as the Baal Sulam, the master of the Sulam. What's a Sulam? A ladder. Why a ladder? Well, look, every step you take on that, every rung you step up in a ladder, your perspective changes. You're literally elevating and seeing a broader perspective.
I need to go. Do you mind?
Go ahead, no worries.
Thank you.
We're wrapping up, no problem. Bye, Marie. Thank you.
Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom. So one of the many takeaways for us is this idea that the work we do should assist us in elevating our consciousness, in seeing a broader scale or scope of the world around us and the things that are happening to us. This whole world that we're taking in, and to see it in a broader way, in a more impartial way, and in a more important way. The question is, like, why can't the Creator help me with that? And the answer is, and we'll close with this, 24/7, the Creator's helping you. Every single bit of stimulation that you're getting is coming from the Creator through the universe to assist us on our journey, to assist us in manifesting the best version of ourselves, to assist us as we approach the world, to not being judgy, but to being an impartial judge. And that's the power of this week and the opportunity that we have as we begin the new moon of Elul, the new moon of Virgo, and prepare ourselves for the new year. Hope to see you all in New York. Shabbat Shalom. Love you all. Thank you all for
Shabbat Shalom.
joining.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
everybody.
shalom. Thanks, David.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shabbat
Thanks for
shalom.
joining. Shabbat Shalom.